Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome to another episode of the Impact Podcast. I'm Jeff, and this is Mike.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Pretty good.
We got another episode. Hey, you can see that we're in a different location today.
Yeah. Got it. Shaking it up.
Just to kind of give you guys some insight, our other studio is really bright right now with the sun, so we decided to test another location. I'm actually kind of digging this one.
Yeah. It's a nice space.
Although I love the natural light of the other one, I think that it's pretty cool to have this more contrasty setup and situation. But yeah, that's why we're sitting in a different spot. For those of you that have seen any of the other podcast episodes, it's been a few weeks.
Yeah, it's been a little while. It's been since before my surgery, so yeah.
Everything's going all right? Yeah, everything's going well?
Yeah. Okay. Cancer's gone.
Oh, jeez.
It's gone.
Well, I wasn't going to go that deep, Mike,
I don't
but
care.
you know, whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
I know I had Bijan on a couple of weeks ago, and we had some hot tips. I mean, the episodes recently have been more geared around Black Friday because we're hot in the middle of that season. It's October 17th already, and we're like a month away from Black Friday.
Black Friday, yeah, biggest time of the year.
It's
e-commerce stores.
Exciting time for us. I know Josh, who was just here helping us get set up, he ran back downstairs to edit some videos for clients and
it's a madhouse right now.
Get right back into things and stuff. But so it's been a few weeks, but I think we've got an interesting topic that we're going to discuss here today. This is something that kind of falls pretty deep into your category, which I'm excited to have you back in with us today. And you had kind of recommended something that might be advantageous for us to discuss, because I think that there's a lot of times for people that are new for diving into targeted ads and things of that nature. Of course, we always talk very heavily about ROI and basically how much you're getting in return for your ad spend and things of that nature. But I think profitability has become something that's really important to a bunch of our clients here recently. I mean, It's always has been, but there's been a couple of scenarios where we wanted to look a little deeper at that. So
yeah, and it's so unique compared to other agencies that we're doing that. So a lot of agencies are out there. They're not paying attention to that type of stuff, but a lot of companies do have it keyed into the back end of their system to where it says, how much does this item cost me? Mm-hmm. What's my profit margin? That way they can see it. Like, I'm going to use Shopify as an example, but you can do that in WooCommerce, BigCommerce, all the major platforms. I've worked with a million of them, but most of them you can input your cost data in there. Mm-hmm. And so what we've done is we've developed a custom way of optimizing ads, not just for purchases, but for profitability. So each sale isn't worth the same to our customers. Like, even if you just take into account the price, two $100 items might have a completely different profit margin. One of them might have a $70 profit. Mm-hmm. That's a great profit for a $100 product. Sure. Obviously, if it only costs you $30 and you're charging $100 for it, but that versus one that costs $100 that costs you $70 instead of $30, and then the profit's $30. So algorithmically, if we give that information to either Facebook or Google, then we're noticing increased performance from doing that because we give it another dynamic of information that it didn't have before.
Oh, so by giving the ad campaigns that, it actually increases the conversion? Is that what you're saying?
So it increases the profitability of running ads because the ads are biased towards products that have a more healthy margin algorithmically. Huh.
That's interesting. It's been obviously a really long time since I've run ads myself, but I wasn't aware that was kind of like a factor that we can take advantage of to help our clients.
Yeah, and it's not what's called a standard event. Okay. So Facebook has, and Google, they both have their standardized events where it's like purchase, view content. Everybody knows this that's in the marketing game. Right. If they've run any ads, they know about these, like add to cart, purchase, all these. But what a lot of people don't know is you can do custom events, right? But that data for like profitability isn't readily accessible on the thank you page. So we had to come up with our own way of doing things this way. our own way of tracking profitability within the Facebook and the Google Ads Manager.
That's interesting. Wait, so are we physically using so this is not a tool that Facebook Ads Manager provides us?
So they have the ability for people to make custom events that are non-standard. Okay. So that is there, but the way that we're doing profitability is custom made. Because what you can do is you can pass along any value within any custom variable that you want, which variable would just mean an event, like a profit purchase. Mm-hmm. Like you could call it, Impakt profit purchase as the custom thing, and have, like, say somebody's order was 3 items for $250 and it costed the client, $150. I'm using nice round numbers to make it easier, but everybody knows it's going to be with change, and like it's never going to work out exactly like that. But like, let's say they bought 3 items, it cost the client $150 to fulfill that order. The profit margin's $100. So our code, what it does is when they hit that order thank you page, it grabs that profit number.
Okay.
Yeah. So it takes that data, and it also we'll even ask the client, like, what percentage-ish is your handling cost and all these other cost variables, and we'll also factor those in. That way, we're taking into account raw profit data. This is something new. This is something that we've developed in the last month or two to test with a specific client that asked for it, that we onboarded. But once we saw the performance of this campaign upon launch, we worked on doing that for everyone, because once it took us like quite a while, like probably 10 to 20 hours of coding to make this custom solution work, because there was a lot of trial and error. We had to go to the thank you page, update the code, go to the thank you page. We had to move the data onto a meta field within Shopify, which in WooCommerce we would do the same, but basically we had to make the data so that it's accessible there on the order thank you page. That way we can dynamically add it all together, subtract the profit, because the profit isn't there. It's cost of the good and total order value. So we actually have to calculate the profit ourselves.
Oh my gosh.
We have to add all the costs together and then minus that from the revenue, and then spit out the number. So what we did was we did that with a ton of test orders until the client that we had sent it to was like, that is perfect. So we ordered, we created just like 5 or 10 carts of random products, checked out, asked the client, is this perfect? Is this perfect? Is this perfect? Find those fringe scenarios where it's not, update the code, go again. And now we have a system of perfection for this client, for that. So now they're able to not only see the revenue from our ads, but also how much profit we are driving. And it also biases us towards creating content around their higher margin products, because we make more as a company as a result of selling their highest margin products. So everybody is winning more with the new system.
That's really fascinating, because I knew that you were, I'm going to be honest, guys. I know that my team is super talented and they do these type of things, and I kind of hear what's going on in our meetings and stuff, but to know it to this level, this is the first time I'm really kind of hearing the explanation of it. And I think it's really fascinating to me that we can go and customize something to this specificity. I can't even speak.
Specificity.
You know what word I'm trying to say. Sorry, Amy. That's my wife. She's going to be harassing me later. But I think it's really fascinating that we can really customize things and dial things in for the better of the client and their business.
Yeah.
Because so many agencies just want to bill as much as possible.
Yeah.
And of course, let's be real. We're all in business here. We need our profit to be dialed in, so we want to as well. But not at the detriment of the client, to where we're gouging them for money that is not fair. So I find it super intriguing that you guys were able to do that. And so as a result, what's the result of this testing? You guys have been running it for a few months now. Has it been advantageous for them and us?
It's been about 1 month. Okay. Yeah, I know time. Yeah. Sorry. Sorry about that, guys. Got some kind of crud going, I guess. But no, it's been running for about a month. The performance on launch has been pretty good. I would say top 20% percentile of our launch success. And the beautiful thing about this was a client that we had at the beginning of the year that took a break on the off season that's coming back into this new system. And we are performing much better than we were in February or March as a result of optimizing these campaigns for profit. So it really gets me excited for how this is going to play out for all the other clients, because if there's like a snippet of code that we can deploy for the few dozen clients, that are our best clients that we're working for, that'll just magically increase their ROI, I mean, I'll take that all day. So we're getting that in there before the Black Friday season for everyone. Now that we've had a month with this new prospect, we're just seeing such a benefit from this code that we're like, okay, at least every Shopify client where we've already pre-written the code needs to get in there, and then we need to spend the 5 or 10 hours adapting this to WordPress, to BigCommerce, to all the other platforms that our clients are built on. So yes, we did happen to do this in Shopify first, but that doesn't mean that we can't serve everything. So yeah,
I mean, truly amazing. I think that it's got to be advantageous to the client for sure, especially coming up into the busy season. I mean, right now, from now until the end of next month, it's just going to be crazy. So it's cool to see. It'll be really interesting to see in a month or so where exactly we are at. So let's talk a little bit about like the lack of profit visibility, and how hard it makes it to gauge true campaign performance. Like, can you give us a little bit of insight on that?
Well, I think it's just that the client wants to be able to see that profit number. That was a condition, I guess, of this client, really, really wanting to sink all of everything that they have into us. Was they really wanted to be able to see both the revenue and the profit and be able to look at that distribution and say, that makes sense for my bottom line, and so we found a lot of clients in the past that either had lower margins, that weren't able to bid for as many ads against their competitors, weren't as successful. So what I love is that the industry that we work in, primarily with the the automotive, with the that type of stuff, with the pro motorsports and all these stuff that we do. I mean, it's not the only thing, but those clients have a really high margin on a lot of their products. Not everything, but like you have certain clients, might sell a suspension for several thousand. If a product's $2,000 or $3,000, that somebody's got a pretty decent profit on it. They're not, I'm gonna sell this for $2,000, but it cost me $1,950 or something, right? That just doesn't happen. So I like to roll it out for clients like that first, because it makes the most sense. Because if Facebook or Google is looking at, okay, 10 shirts might equal $200 or something if they have a $20 shirt versus a $200 part, I want it to know how much profit each of those actions are, and be able to optimize for that algorithmically. So that's why we've actually tested. So when you create a custom event like this, you can actually click and optimize the actual campaign for that custom event to go maximize that value rather than the revenue value. And what we found is Facebook before, because you optimize for purchases, it'll optimize for the quantity of purchases automatically.
Okay.
It'll say, I want to get the most amount, and obviously revenue as well, right? But if you give it that, then it starts to bias towards products with higher margin, because it gives it more algorithmic, I guess, happiness, I guess, like positivity towards the right number.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's not equal. If you sell 10 $20 products versus one $200 product, it's not going to be an equal profit margin. So I like that that Facebook is aware, and Google are both aware that that's a thing now and can optimize on that. So like if you give the machine that information, it can take it into account and produce better results.
Guys, I hope you guys, if you've made it this far in this episode, I know it can kind of get a little deep and a little out
Well,
there.
I've got this detailed in our blog, by the way. So that post should be live by the time this is live.
Is that
so
the blog post that's going live?
yeah,
tomorrow?
literally, I gave away the code that I wrote to achieve this on there. So, if you guys are tech savvy and you want to try your hand at this, it is a detailed process, but I give it away on there because I want to show that we are on the cutting edge, and you can take that, implement it on your site, and have your your agency that's currently working for you. See if they will optimize for profit for you. Because if they won't, you can always come to us, and we'll. Well,
that's exactly. First of all, I didn't know that was what tomorrow's blog post was about. So thank you for giving away that awesome value. But like, what I guess the point that I was getting at is that this stuff. I mean, there's a lot to it, and I just think that a lot of times clients and people think, well, we'll just kind of take it over and do it ourselves and save us the fee or whatever, the agency fee. But the reality of it is guys, we have a full team. There's 10 of us here at the agency, which is a small agency. But our team is so extremely talented and well versed in the activities that we do here for our clients that we are able to kind of like think through the process and solve a problem. And, that's ultimately what we're here for to do. We're solving the problem of helping you scale your online sales.
Right.
But like there's so many different nuances, right, inside of that. I mean, it's not just running Facebook ads and boom, it's done. No, guys, there's like thinking and thought that goes into, what if we did this custom thing and figuring that out. And that's what you guys are so talented at doing.
Oh yeah, we love that we're able to do that as a web team, just like come up with these solutions. Like I love being in sales calls with, the sales team that got a prospect and they're like, can we do that? Let me pull Mike into that. And I love coming up with the custom solutions to like solve those. It's like, we will only sign on if you guys can do X, Y, and Z. And then I'm like, I got this new, beautiful, interesting thing to work on that will both make me happy because it gives me like purpose in life to solve problems, but also make the client happy in that like they've asked for this for like other agencies and other things, and they've said no. And I like being able to be the one that's like, yes, we can do this. And that's what I try to do for everything. If I get in there and I know I can do something, I'm going to say yes. Even if I know it's going to be like tedious work, it's going to take me like 10 or 20 hours to do. I like banging my head against these problems, especially for things that you can't Google, because I like being the person that makes the article that when you Google how to do the thing, like comes up. I did that with like networking. Like I did like a self-hosted website on like a local Unraid server. And like, this was like 8 years ago when I was first learning like how like networking with web development worked. So like, I did this whole post about like, this is how you like host a website on your own server. And then it's still the number one post for like that specific thing.
Is that on your Reddit page or something?
Yeah. It was actually a Reddit post in the self-hosted like area. But anyways, it was honestly like my, at the time, misunderstanding for how domains work with how they go into IPs. I'm not going to go into that. Like, it's going to get boring fast. But what I will say is I realized that there was this deliberate information being kept. And it was the same thing like earlier this week, right? We were working together on getting conversions set up in Squarespace for Google. And if you Google that, there's no mention of a data layer for, and ChatGPT doesn't know about it either. There is a data layer that they have, but we had to like invent a way to do it, because when we Googled it, it was like, well, you can do it this in that roundabout way, but it's not going to be super accurate and all these things. And I was like, no, like we're going to do this. So like, they don't have documentation around how to get around specific problems, but sometimes you got to do that. And that's what we had to do with this scenario. You can't just Google like how to set up profit, in Shopify for a for a Facebook pixel and it just work. Yeah. You have to do your own solution around it.
And I think there's an awful lot to be said about that, Mike, because I mean, I'm guilty of this, as many people are, but like we all problem solve in our careers. It doesn't matter what career you have. Problem solving is part of daily life. But to be able to problem solve and not have a solution come up via search or AI or whatever, and be able to think through that process is such a valuable attribute that you and BJN both have, like, and you work really well together on that type of stuff. So, I mean, again, I think it's really, really valuable, really valuable asset that our agency specifically has that not a lot of people do, and people don't realize it's there. Guys, by the way, Mike's been doing this for us, my partner and I, for 10 years. Mike has been here. I know it's been
since the last podcast.
Since the last podcast,
yep. I've passed my 10
Mike
year.
Passed his 10-year point, so I'm super proud. You know, we've had Mike for a long time, and he's been doing this for a long time for our clients, and I'm just grateful to have him. So moving on, like, let's look at like an overview of the solution that you created, getting back to the actual problem that we solved.
Sure.
So can you give us a description on what you had to do to get that profit for that client's product and go through that whole process?
Yeah, so what we had to do was we realized, looking through the liquid documentation for Shopify, we realized that information, the cost per item, is not accessible on that thank you page, right? It's not data that you can pull right there. But what you can pull is metafield information. So what we did was we grabbed a metafield app. Don't need to develop our own. There's a trillion of them out there. Don't want to waste time, right? So you grab a metafield app.
This is getting real quick, guys.
Yeah, and you move it from one column to another column. And then you import it into Shopify. And all of a sudden, the data is accessible on the page. So you have your cost per item, that is the spot that you're meant to put it in Shopify. You put it in there. Then you copy it over to the meta field that is then accessible on the thank you page. So once that data is accessible, then we could write a formula in JavaScript that loads last on that page that can go back and it can look through all that information and calculate the profit. So we did it based on, this client told us their overhead was 10%. So what we do is we take the total that the user paid, the actual amount that hit their card before shipping, the subtotal, I guess you would say. Correct. Because shipping doesn't for them has no profit. So there's no reason to include it in the revenue as well, because then you just subtract it right off. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying? You just add it and then subtract it.
You have to go off the subtotal.
So we use subtotal. So we take the subtotal.
Because that's even like for those that charge tax, like
right,
really
and they don't keep the tax, right? So we don't want to me and Bijan don't want to do a formula that takes that information and takes it away when you can just use subtotal.
Subtotal makes sense.
Right.
So,
subtotal,
you're calculating for subtotal on the whole order,
and you subtract the cost of their goods. You take that value and you subtract 10% for handling and other costs associated with fulfillment of the order. That's their true profit. And they looked through and they were like, that is crazy close. When they saw like the numbers going through, it was like within pennies of what the real value is, if not exactly in some cases. So once that is calculated on that page, problem solved, because then Facebook and Google are both getting that information. And also, it makes it so that we can compare both the platforms, not on just both revenue, but how much profit each platform. So when we're allocating ad spend between Google and Facebook, we have dynamic code for both that's pushing that data, because we just did the formula once. After that, after you have the formula done, all you have to do is push the same value to Facebook and Google, and you can do it for anything. For TikTok, for your custom tracking platform, like if you have Matomo or Google Analytics or whatever you use, like Triple Whale, like whatever. You can put the code in there and it'll give you the profit number. And there's no way for me to explain this in an extremely simple, extremely graspable way.
Yeah.
But what I want the people at home to take away is, if your agency tells you no, something's not possible, come to us, because I want to tell you yes. I want you to bring these crazy, kooky ideas to me about, can our marketing work this way? And for us to be able to say, because a client came up with that. Like, a client came up with that idea, and it actually improved the performance. And I was like, holy crap. Now we can take this and use it on all the clients.
I think there's a couple thoughts bouncing around my head now real quick. It says, I think that, again, that's super unique. Most agencies are going to be like, oh, I'm sorry, that's not how we operate, and then just move on. And then it affects, honestly, it affects the relationship there and whatever. But but also like the level of complexity of your job, and that's just how your mind, guys, Mike's mind operates this way, like all day long.
I don't like to, I don't like to say no. I don't like to like
Well,
take somebody else's knowledge, like, oh, they don't know as much as me, so then I can get away with saying no in scenarios where it's technically possible, but like hard to do.
And I think the one thing that's valuable to note too is that you're going to be honest. Like, you know, if you're unsure, like, we're going to be just like, well, we're not really totally sure, but we'll look into it. If it's going to be beneficial for you and it's going to be beneficial for us, then obviously we're going to spend the energy to do it because, guys, we're thinking long term. Like,
we want to keep our clients for multiple years.
This is not like a short-sighted thing. It's really important to us to make sure that we do great work for you. And by doing great work for you, you're happy, your business grows, and that's the whole point. Impact Results, we're here to help scale online sales and stuff. Mike, your job has gone, it's grown, like not just grown, but transformed at crazy levels over the years. Like what you're explaining now has levels of not just developer aspect, but like data analysis. Like a lot of agencies, like Gary Vaynerchuk's hundreds of persons at his agencies, they have data and analysis people. That's like all they do all day long is just look at these numbers all day, every day. And the fact that you're able to think about the possibility of this and just kind of be like, well, I think we can write some JavaScript and do this with the tools that we have. Let me just converse with my developer Bijan and see what we can do.
Right.
Is pretty incredible. And I knew that this was happening, but obviously I didn't know the details until this conversation. That's what these things are for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really proud of what we can achieve with the size of team we are. I think, you know, we're not the cheapest agency out there, but what I'll say is where we fall is right in that price to performance. Yeah, we're not expensive. What I like to say is like we are the best price to performance. Like you don't pay like the least here, but like what I will say with this profit thing and just like we don't tell our clients no. People can reach us immediately on the phone, and this type of custom solution like we're going over here is the type of thing you're going to get when you work with everybody on the actual like team, every client. You know, instead of if we did have, you know, a lot more people than what we do, then you're going to have varying levels of competency between teams, and it's going to be hard to standardize non-standard things like this. And that's what's beautiful about a small team is that we can say yes because all the people that would do the work are the people that answer the yes question. And I'm really confident in my answer whenever I do that because we had to break between. So we had a sales meeting where they asked for this, and I said, hey, can you give me a few days to answer this question because I need to look into this myself. I think it's possible. I'm pretty sure it's possible, maybe even 90%. But I want to be like 99 to 100% sure, you know. So I met with Bijan, and we went through and developed our own process, and we were like, okay, this is going to be hard. And we told both the sales team and the client, this is going to take us a week or two, maybe even 3, just depending on how it goes to do. Lots of iterations, but I explained to the client exactly what the process would be. I'm like, I'm going to have you look at the number until you're happy with it. Once you're happy with it, that's when it goes live in the campaign. So once we had that established, I know I have the knowledge to do the task. I know that they're going to be reasonable about accepting the value that's going through. So I know it's going to work. So we never sign people on where we're like, can we do that? Probably. You know, like I like to deal in absolutes. It's really rare that I'm like, oh, we can totally do that, and then we can't. That is really, really rarely happens because we so thoroughly look into it before.
Yeah, I think another thing that I just want to highlight that you had mentioned too is that you're talking about sales calls. Guys, Mike is not a he was never hired to be a salesman. Mike was hired to be a web developer, and he's just generated all these unique qualities over the years. And it's not common. We don't bring the team into a call unless the sales reps can't answer the questions that are being asked. And you know, if it's going to be beneficial, we're going to provide value. Of course, we're going to bring them in, which is very unique too, right? Like a lot of agencies they're just trying to close the deal. I'm going to be honest with you. I've worked for them over the years and in different companies, and it's not it's just not the way that we operate. And I think that it adds an awful lot. I mean, you've had people tell you before, wait a second, you're the guy doing the work. You're in the sales call.
Yeah, for sure. And one of the reasons why I get pulled in the most is because I can, even though I can't run Facebook and Google ads specifically, I can answer every question that a layperson could possibly have about their capability. And also, I'm like the person that makes the custom stuff happen. So that's why I'm the one that gets pulled into those the most. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to be able to meet with the prospects that I'm really going to be working with because like I'm not trying to blow smoke, but business owners are generally like intelligent, fun to talk to people, and I like meeting them in those, even the ones like it's not a secret. Not everybody I meet with signs on with us. Okay, but I like getting to know all these different entrepreneurs and what they're trying to achieve by hiring an agency. We don't always win the bid. We win a lot of them, but I do like meeting those people, answering their problems, maybe doing a little bit of consulting for them, like which direction you should go for X, Y, and Z. Being honest, if I don't know something and I need to like take some time, but yeah, just meeting random people in the industry is always interesting because every single successful business that's talking to us, they have a story. They have a hole in the market that they filled that caused them to be successful. And we know how to market products, but like that is something that is interesting about like an e-commerce store and the people that own them that we work for is they created like that thing, right? Like that hole in the market they filled. So yeah, I always find that to be interesting to like get to know their product, why people buy it over the competition, and like develop custom solutions around that. So
cool. Well, I think we could go on all day long talking about this stuff, but I mean for the sake of just keeping this a little bit shorter, I think this has been a really valuable episode. It's definitely a unique one. Normally, we're just saying, oh, we do Facebook ads. This is how we do them. I mean, I think that this is really cool because we didn't talk about just ads specifically or email campaigns. We talked about solving complex problems. And I just think the importance of solving a profit tracking solution, not just revenue for our clients, was a really big deal for this person to come on board with us. And I think that's really, it's just really an awesome thing that we were able to do. And they're happy. Right?
Yeah, and I'm going to keep posting, like, whenever we do this stuff, like, I'm not even just going to keep it to the chest. I'm going to keep posting on our blog. So if you've made it this far in the episode, you're this interested in this problem, I would say just definitely check out the Impakt blog. I'll be the one that mostly posting content there just because it's, like, technical related. I've got some stuff for Black Friday. I've got some page speed optimization, some really detailed and really helpful tips on that. I've got, coming down the pipeline, some Squarespace stuff, just in case a few people need that. And finally, how to do this profit tracking. Like if you're pretty technical out there, you don't want to hire us and you just want to take that code, go ahead. I want to contribute to the industry, but also show that we're at the forefront. So if you want the people that literally create the solutions to the problems, hire us.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot to be noted that it doesn't matter. Look, I've been around for 3 decades in creative and marketing, and there's always a learning curve, and there's always new technology, and there's always things evolving and growing. I mean, it's just changed so much in the 11 years that we've been around, but there are limitations to Facebook and Google standard tracking methods and other things too. And sometimes they're not brought to the foreground until later, but regardless, if there's something we can do, we're definitely going to do it. Yeah. To help you guys out. All right, so I appreciate you guys. If you've made it this far in the episode, thanks for watching again for the Impakt podcast. I think we're up to episode 13 now.
Yep.
Things are still rolling.
Lucky number 13.
Oh God, that's my. Yeah, I'm actually superstitious about numbers. But although I love this episode, maybe we should be like airplanes and skip 13. I might tell Josh to make this 14.
Oh my goodness.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. This is going to be episode 14.
Nice.
But I just encourage you guys to go to thinkimpact.com. The URL's down on the bottom of the screen. Check out some of the work that we've done, some of the blog stuff. There's other podcast episodes there. If you have any questions whatsoever on how to increase your online sales and scale them via digital marketing practices. That's what we're all about. We do this all day, every day for clients all over the country. We've been doing it for a decade. By all means, reach out. We're happy to help. Even if we don't get to work with you, at least we can have a great conversation and try to build a relationship there and see what challenges you're having so we can put solutions out in the marketplace.
Hell yeah.
And that's all we're going to have for this episode. So we'll see you next week on the Impact Podcast. Take care.
Bye.